Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members of this committee, I am very pleased to be able to give testimony before you. My name is Janelle Wintersteen. Before I go on, I want to thank a couple of people and mention what I've seen. Representative Lorcher, almost 2 years ago, I was privileged to see you give a talk on affordable care. You're not really that happy about it, but you presented both sides fairly. I was impressed. Representative McCroskey, I remember vividly when you came to the block, hunting for our votes, and I did vote for you, and it's a pleasure to see you here.
Thank you.
And Representative Luker, I owe you a vote of thanks. Because of the 2 bills that you put forth last year, then I sat in the gallery of the House of Representatives for 2 weeks and watched you, and I enjoyed that immensely. I also saw you at the end of those 2 weeks stand up with Representative Grant Burgoyne and cooperate on some housekeeping that probably need to be done and do it across the aisle. I always am pleased to see that. Now, I live at 3408 here in Boise. I've lived there for 33 years, and my sexuality is lesbian. I've been with a partner for 33 years. Now, do I need to hang over this, or can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay. I've seen children born on both sides of my family, mine and my partner's, and I've seen them grow up to become productive adults. Now, I know that Boise is considered one of Idaho's bastions of liberal thinking. However, I've worked a wide variety of jobs in my life, in retail, as a nurse's aide, in landscaping, and even some janitorial. I've worked with people I respected very much who didn't always have a lot of money or even huge amounts of education. I respect them. They talked to me honestly about their lives, and I told them about mine. I have always been out, which is to say I did not hide my sexuality. I didn't announce it immediately, but as I talked about my life, my colleagues figured it out, and all I had to say eventually was, yes, you're correct. People like to be correct. Now, transgender, back in the early 70s, I wasn't really familiar about, so we all had to learn about that together. But we're talking about a time when the word LGB hadn't even been coined, when you never heard about lesbians unless it was one of the talk shows, like Oprah and one of the others. Now, I am retired. And as most retired people do, I still work part-time. But I'm here to tell you, I have lived an open life in Idaho. 95% or more of the people I have met have had no problem with my sexuality. Some of them were a little put off when they met me, but that did not last. My coworkers, my neighbors, the family my partner was born to, while they were sometimes taken aback by my openness, respected it. And I hope that all of you listening to me today are glad of this and feel that that is the way that anybody who lives in Idaho or any other state should be able to live. But nevertheless, I'm here to ask you to add the legal designation of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender to the Idaho Human Rights Act, so that when there is an issue, whether it be job, whether it have to do with housing, whether it be an attack against one of us, any of us, that we have a legal way to address it. Now, I have met people here as part of the LGBT community who have not lived as happily and as safely in Idaho as I have. And I have been brushed by at least one episode, but it never turned into a problem because I had neighbors who supported me. Now it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, and all the members of this committee to add these legal protections. I am here to tell you that if my experience, my life experience is any guide, most of your constituents would prefer that you do add this to the Human Rights Act. I know you've heard some very fierce and vocal testimony asking you not to do this. And I believe you're hearing testimony from people who truly believe that to grant these protections would be detrimental to their lives, their children, their businesses, and their churches. But keep in mind, sometimes the fiercest and most emotional testimony, where real as an individual, is not the truest. The most persistent testimony is apt to be the most realistic. My belief that adding these protections to the Idaho Human Rights Act would be a just and rational act to most of Idaho might sound fantastical to you. However, it's based on my working life within this state, and not on a professional life, but on a life that was considered blue collar. This ends my testimony. I do have a copy for the official record. I have copies for any of you who care for one. And I am open to questions that you, Mr. Chairman, or any of the members of the committee would like to ask.
Are there questions? Thank you for your being here today.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative Jordan,
I have one question for Ms. Wintersteen.
would you respond to a question, Ms. Wintersteen?
Yes? Oh, sorry. Who?
We have someone late asking a question. Representative Jordan?
Oh. Yes, I understand Susan Chu worked for you, and she was very happy when you won.
Thank you. Well, I'm just as happy, too. She was a great volunteer. I love my job. And I cannot imagine someone as precious as you going without protections here in Idaho. So I do hope that we'll have great testimonies like this and continue on. But I do just want to ask a simple question, and that is, do you pay taxes?
What taxes are you talking about? I don't own property, so I don't pay property taxes.
Employment taxes?
Say that again?
Employment taxes, or are you retired? You paid
I
taxes
pay-
while employed by the state or any other entity within the state.
Why, yes, I have a seasonal job at Christmas. And I have worked for a used bookstore in town and am on call for them at any time I need.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wintersteen.
Thank you.